The briefing room aboard the Galactic Union flagship was cold and sterile, designed more for efficiency than comfort. Around a curved table, representatives of a dozen species sat in silence, their expressions ranging from mild curiosity to outright disbelief. At the center, a towering reptilian diplomat, Prefect Zyrol, narrowed his amber eyes at the four humans standing before him. "You are the latest to attempt the Xiphos 9 survival trial," he said, voice guttural and precise. "Every species before you has failed within 2 standard days, some within hours. The test is simple. Survive for a month with only the supplies provided. If you succeed, humanity earns a seat among the Galactic Union." Jake Reynolds crossed his arms, glancing at his team. Survive a month sounds easy enough. Across from him, a hulking insectoid observer clicked its mandibles in what might have been laughter. Zyrol's nostrils flared. "Xiphos 9 is not easy. The atmosphere shifts between toxic storms and oxygen-rich pockets at random. Gravity fluctuates, the terrain moves, and the local fauna, well, you'll see soon enough." Maddie Brooks, the team's biologist, pushed up her glasses. "Fascinating." Zyrol exhaled sharply, unimpressed. "You are given no weapons, no shelter, no external assistance. Every previous species has succumbed to starvation, environmental collapse, or predation. Humans will be no different." T. Johnson grinned, adjusting the straps on his survival pack. "Buddy, you don't know humans." Without further discussion, the trial was set. The humans boarded a dropship, and within minutes they were descending through the chaotic atmosphere of Xiphos 9. The moment the dropship broke through the cloud cover, alarms blared. "Whoa! Turbulence is off the charts." Ethan Carter, the team's engineer, struggled with the controls. Gravity's shifting every few seconds, compensating. Outside the viewport, the planet below looked like hell incarnate. A jagged wasteland of black stone and molten rivers stretched beneath a sky that crackled with green lightning. Vast sand dunes formed and collapsed within moments, as if the land itself was breathing. In the distance, something enormous moved beneath the surface, causing the ground to ripple. That looks concerning," Maddie muttered. The dropship jolted violently. Red warning lights flickered across the cabin. "We're coming in hot," Ethan gritted his teeth. "Brace for impact." The ship slammed into the surface, skidding across the unstable terrain before grinding to a halt. The hull groaned in protest, but it held, for now. Jake unbuckled his harness and kicked the release on the ramp. As the hatch hissed open, blistering heat rushed inside, followed by a powerful gust of sulfur-tainted wind. The terrain outside was in constant motion, shifting, twisting, alive in ways rock shouldn't be. "Everybody good?" Jake asked, stepping down onto the unstable surface. "Define good," Ethan muttered, scanning the wrecked dropship. "Ship's totaled. No chance of using it for shelter." "That's fine," Maddie said, crouching to examine the ground. "We'll figure it out." Ty, already a few paces away, kicked at a rock. It twitched, then scurried away on tiny legs. He whistled. "Yeah, okay. This place is officially weird." No sooner had he spoken than the entire area lurched. The ground tilted, sending them sprawling as the terrain split apart. A gaping fissure opened where their dropship had been moments before, swallowing it whole. Jake barely managed to grab Maddie's wrist and pull her away before the land sealed shut again, like a mouth closing. Ethan's voice was tight. That's not supposed to happen." Maddie's face was pale. "The ground is a living organism. It's moving intentionally." Ty smirked. "So, the planet's trying to kill us already? Love that for us." For hours, they pushed forward, navigating unstable ground and dodging random gravity shifts that sent boulders floating one minute and crashing down the next. Every attempt to set up shelter was quickly thwarted. Sand dunes swallowed their supplies, rock formations collapsed just as they started climbing them, and the air grew thick with static electricity, making their hair stand on end. "Okay," Jake said finally, wiping sweat from his brow. "We need a plan before this planet eats us for breakfast." Ethan tapped his wrist console, frowning. If I can scavenge parts from the dropship wreckage, I might be able to rig a geosensor, something that can map terrain shifts before they happen. Maddie nodded. I'll collect samples, see if there's any sign of edible flora or fauna. Tew slung his survival pack over one shoulder. And I'll do what I do best. Improvise and cause a little chaos. Jake gave him a wary look. Just try not to blow us up. No promises. Unbeknownst to the team, far above Xiphos 9, the Galactic Union's observation deck was filled with tension. A trio of alien officials stared at the live feed, disbelief evident in their body language. 3 hours, and they are still alive, one muttered. Another, a gelatinous life form, rippled anxiously. More than that, they are adapting. They have already started problem-solving. Prefect Zyrol narrowed his eyes at the screen, watching as Ethan pieced together his geosensor from salvaged parts, as Maddie catalogued the environment, and as Jake led his team with confidence. Then there was Ty, who had apparently figured out how to use the floating gravity pockets to bounce across the terrain like an acrobat, laughing as he did so. Zyrol's claws dug into the armrest of his seat. No other species has lasted this long, he admitted. We assumed adaptability was universal. The gelatinous observer turned toward him. Perhaps we were wrong. Zyrol exhaled slowly, gaze fixed on the humans below. Let's see how long they last. The planet was shifting again. Ethan Carter watched the geosensor's flickering display as he crouched over the salvage device. It had taken an hour to rig the scanner from the dropship wreckage, and he was already running calculations. We need to move now, he announced, voice tight. Jake Reynolds frowned, glancing at the terrain. Looks stable to me. Ethan shook his head. That's the problem. This area's been solid for too long. Every pattern so far suggests movement every 15 to 20 minutes, and we're overdue. Which means when it shifts, it's going to be big. Ty Johnson adjusted his pack. Define big. Maddie Brooks, kneeling beside a collection of plant. Samples barely looked up. Probably this whole section collapses into a lava chasm big. Ty whistled. Well, that's inconvenient. Jake didn't wait for further debate. Everyone up. Move, now. They ran, feet pounding against cracked stone as the land trembled beneath them. Seconds later, the ground behind them lurched violently, splitting open to reveal a yawning abyss of molten rock. Ty barely cleared the ledge, rolling to safety as the edge crumbled away. He dusted himself off, panting. Yeah, okay. The nerds. We're right. Maddie shot him a look. We usually are. Jake took a deep breath, scanning their surroundings. They had bought themselves a few more hours, maybe, but Xiphos 9 wasn't done with them yet. The terrain ahead sloped downward into a twisted forest of obsidian spires, jagged and unnatural. A thick mist clung to the ground, obscuring their footing. Jake took point, keeping his pace steady. Eyes up, if something moves, call it out. Maddie was already analyzing the environment. This place is alive, not just in an ecosystem sense, but in a reactionary way. It changes in response to threats. Ty smirked. Cool, we're playing chess with a murder planet. A low rumble cut through the mist. Ethan turned, activating his infrared scanner. His expression paled. We're not alone. A shadow moved in the fog, large, fast. Then came the eyes, 6 of them, glowing amber, set in a massive, shifting body that flickered in and out of visibility. Jake's stomach dropped. Cloaking ability. Maddie inhaled sharply. Oh, that's not fair. The apex predator of Xiphos 9 emerged fully. 8 limbs, armored plating, and a mouth lined with retractable spines. It let out a resonating growl, shifting color as it stalked. Toward them. Ty stepped back, hand tightening on his pack straps. Just once, I'd love for an alien death monster to be stupid, or slow, or allergic to oxygen. Less talking, more thinking, Jake snapped. The beast lunged. Jake barely had time to push Maddie aside before clawed limbs slammed into the rock where they had been standing. Scatter! Jake shouted. The team dove in different directions as the predator struck again, fast and calculated. It wasn't mindless. It was testing them, learning their movements. Ethan scrambled for higher ground, already thinking, it's a hunter, which means it has weaknesses. Maddie's voice rang out. It's using heat signatures to track us. Ethan's mind raced. Then let's blind it. He grabbed a flare from his pack and ignited it, tossing it ahead. The sudden burst of heat flared red-hot in his scanner. The predator reacted instantly, pouncing on the flare, mistaking it for prey. Jake saw the opening. Move! The team sprinted past the distracted beast, weaving through the obsidian spires. Behind them, the predator realized its mistake. It roared in fury, its camouflaged form shifting erratically. Ty glanced back, grinning. Man, I love outsmarting apex predators. Don't celebrate yet, Jake warned. We still need shelter. They ran until the mist thinned out, revealing a plateau of uneven rock. Jagged structures jutted from the ground, forming what looked like a natural fortress. This could work, Maddie breathed. Ethan studied the formations. If we reinforce these outcroppings, they might withstand the next terrain shift. Ty threw down his pack. Great, let's make this place home. He turned and nearly walked off the edge of a sudden drop. Whoa! He skidded to a halt, inches. From a sheer cliff, Maddie peered over the edge, frowning. That's strange. The ground below wasn't solid. It pulsed. Jake felt unease coil in his gut. What am I looking at? Ethan knelt, adjusting his scanner. The readings made no sense. The ground isn't stone, he muttered. It's organic. Silence fell over them. Ty broke it. So, we're standing on something alive? The moment he said it, the plateau shuddered. Cracks formed beneath their feet. Jake made the call instantly. We're leaving. Now! The team bolted as the entire plateau began to rise. The rock beneath them peeled away, revealing a massive, armored creature waking from dormancy. Their fortress had been the shell of something ancient, and it was no longer asleep. High above, aboard the Galactic Union observation deck, Prefect Zyrol watched with growing unease. They are still alive, one of his advisors murmured. The gelatinous observer beside him pulsed nervously. Not just alive, thriving. On the screen, the humans weren't just running, they were adapting on the fly. Ethan was already calculating escape routes, Maddie was identifying biological weak points, and Ty was laughing. Zyrol narrowed his eyes. They should be dead, he muttered, but they weren't. They were learning, and that terrified him. The ground heaved beneath their feet, shifting in a slow, dreadful motion. The plateau they had chosen for shelter was no rock formation. It was alive. A creature older than any recorded civilization, buried beneath Xiphos 9's shifting terrain for untold centuries. Now it was waking up. Run, 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 Jake Reynolds bellowed. The team sprinted for their lives as the ground cracked and peeled away, revealing a colossal armored beast. Jagged plates of dark volcanic chitin unfurled like massive petals, dislodging boulders the size of buildings. The deep reverberation rolled through the air, not quite a roar, not quite a groan, something ancient, something aware. Maddie Brooks stumbled but caught herself. That's not possible. Yeah? Tell that to the 1,000-ton turtle. From hell, Ty Johnson shouted, narrowly dodging a slab of rock as the creature shifted beneath them. Ethan Carter, already scanning, gasped. It's not attacking us. Jake skidded to a stop. What? Ethan pointed at his readings. Look at its movement. It's reacting defensively, not aggressively. We woke it up. We're not prey. We're an irritation. Maddie's eyes widened. It thinks we're just bugs? Yeah, Ethan said, adjusting his scanner. And if it rolls over, it'll crush us like some minor inconvenience. The creature's massive limbs began shifting, tilting its enormous body. Cracks spiderwebbed through the landscape as it adjusted position, threatening to bury them under a mountain of debris. We need a way off this thing, Jake barked. Ty's gaze flicked around, assessing options. Then he grinned. I've got one. But it's stupid. Not the time for disclaimers, Ethan shot back. Just say it. Ty gestured to the massive thermal vents lining the creature's back. Those look like air currents, right? Maddie blinked. You're suggesting we use the heat pockets like a goddamn trampoline? Ty finished, already adjusting the straps on his pack. Hell yes, I am, Jake groaned. I hate that this might actually work. There was no time to second guess. The creature's back was already shifting, tilting them toward an abyss of razor-sharp rock formations below. Ethan was the first to act. We need timing. He flicked through his scanner, watching the thermal fluctuations. The heat surges every 9 seconds. Jump too early and you'll drop like a rock. Too late, and it'll launch you into orbit. Jake clenched his jaw. Jump on my mark. The next surge erupted, a blast of heat and compressed air bursting from the vent, powerful enough to launch a human into the sky. Jake watched the rhythm, counted the seconds, then leapt forward. The thermal updraft caught him perfectly, launching him into the air, too fast, too high. For a split second, he saw everything. The endless wasteland of Xiphos 9, shifting like an ocean. The distant storm front rolling in, green lightning crackling through the sky. The Galactic Union's observation drone hovering above, watching them. Then gravity reclaimed him. He hit the ground hard, rolling, sliding, alive. Maddie followed next, screaming but grinning. Ethan, calculating his jump down to the millisecond, landed smoothly. Ty whooped as he somersaulted mid-air, arms spread wide. Jake caught his breath. You are insane. Ty landed in a roll, popping up with a grin. You're welcome. On the Galactic Union flagship, Prefect Zyrol's claws dug into his seat. No, he whispered. The observation deck was silent. Every representative, every species, every being that had failed this trial before, watched in stunned disbelief. The humans weren't just surviving, they were winning. The gelatinous observer trembled. They should be dead. Zyrol ground his teeth. They should be. But they weren't. And that terrified him. The team regrouped in a narrow ravine, its walls providing some protection from the chaos of Xiphos 9. Jake exhaled. All right. That was too close. Maddie collapsed onto a rock, still catching her breath. We need a real shelter. We can't keep outrunning this planet. Ethan nodded, already scanning. Agreed. There's a cave system 2 clicks east. The rock formations there are more stable. We can fortify it. Ty stretched, rolling his shoulders. Sounds good. I'd rather not get launched into the sky again. Jake glanced at the sky. The storm was closing in. They had maybe an hour before. It reached them. All right, he said. We move now. Let's finish this. The storm was coming. Green lightning crackled in the distance, illuminating the jagged peaks of Xiphos 9's ever-shifting terrain. The wind howled through the ravine, a low, mournful wail that sent a chill through the team. Ethan Carter checked his scanner. Storm impact in 20 minutes. We need that cave now. Jake Reynolds led the way, gripping his rifle, even though he knew it wouldn't help against a planet that actively hated them. Eyes up. No more surprises. Ty Johnson smirked. Oh, come. On, I'd say we have at least one surprise left. Maddie Brooks shivered. I hate when you say things like that. They moved fast, pushing through the rough terrain until they reached the cave entrance. It was a wide opening, jagged but stable, a rare stroke of luck on Xiphos 9. Ethan ran a quick analysis. Rock density looks solid. This might actually hold against the storm. Jake exhaled. For once, something's going our way. And that's when the ground exploded. The apex predator had followed them. It erupted from the ground in a blur of shifting chitin and flashing fangs, roaring loud, enough to shake the stones around them. Maddie stumbled back. Oh, come on. Ethan barely had time to react before the beast lunged. Jake tackled him out of the way, rolling, just as the monster's claws gouged deep scars into the rock where they had stood. Ty swore. This thing really holds a grudge. Maddie grabbed her pack. We need a distraction. Jake's mind worked fast. No, we need to finish this. The team had outrun, outthought, and outlasted everything Xiphos 9 had thrown at them. But this was the final test. They weren't going to survive by running. They had to win. Ethan scanned the beast's heat signature. Its underbelly. Here's weaker. That's our shot. Jake nodded. We drop it. Ty cracked his knuckles. I like the way you think. Maddie was already moving. She grabbed a flare grenade, yanked the pin and tossed it high into the air. The predator's many eyes tracked it instinctively, momentarily distracted. That was all the time they needed. Jake and Ty charged forward, dodging as the creature swiped at them. Ethan set his scanner to maximum output, creating a concentrated heat signature that sent the beast into sensory overload. It reared back, exposing its underbelly. Jake shouted, "Now!" Ty hit the detonator. A shaped charge, salvaged from their wrecked dropship, went off beneath the creature, sending shockwaves through its vulnerable plating. The beast screeched, staggered, then collapsed. Dust settled. Silence followed. Maddie exhaled. "Holy crap, did we just—" Ty grinned. "We just took down an apex predator on an alien murder planet." Ethan checked his scanner. "It's not dead. But it's not getting up anytime soon." Jake nodded, breathless. "Good enough. Let's get inside." Far above, Prefect Zyrol watched, stunned into silence. "They did it," one of the advisors whispered. The other alien delegates, beings who had long accepted failure as inevitable, stared in awe. The humans had passed the test, not by brute force, not by sheer luck. They had adapted. They had thought differently, and they had won. Zyrol clenched his claws. He had seen enough. "Send the retrieval ship," he ordered. "We have our answer." Inside the cave, the team finally collapsed, exhausted but victorious. Maddie leaned against the wall, still catching her breath. "So, what now?" Ethan checked his scanner. "A ship's coming for us." Jake raised an eyebrow. "Rescue or execution?" Ty chuckled. "I mean, either way. At least we're getting off this rock." The team shared a laugh, bruised, battered, but alive. And as the storm raged outside, they knew one thing for certain. They were the first, the only ones who had ever passed the test. Humanity had won, and the galaxy would never be the same.